Hey everybody, we're focused on Unit 6.4, which is the effects of policies and economic conditions on the foreign exchange market. In this particular video, which is the third one in this subsection, 6.4, we're going to be focused on fiscal policy. So we're focused on this kind of first part, effects of policies on the foreign exchange market. Remember, when we say policies, we're talking about monetary policy and fiscal policy. And what we're talking about is monetary or fiscal policy changing in a domestic country or abroad, okay? So in any place in the world that monetary policy or fiscal policy is changing, there will be an impact on the exchange market. Now in this particular video, I'm going to focus on fiscal policy, okay? A manipulation of the government's budget to stabilize the economy. Now, we're going to focus also on expansionary fiscal policy. So we're going to look at expansionary fiscal policy, sometimes called stimulative fiscal policy. And here's the deal. What we're going to go over, I think, is a bit difficult because there's actually a few ways to approach the impacts of stimulative fiscal policy when it comes to the exchange market. And they don't always give us the same result. So here's what I want to say. In this video, we're going to kind of go to the primary way that economists think about how fiscal policy affects the exchange rate. But we'll talk about some of the complexities also, okay? So again, doing expansionary fiscal policy, I'm going to have expansionary fiscal policy happening in the United States. What is that? We're going to either increase government purchases or increase transfer payments or lower taxes, or maybe do a couple or all three of those things. What those things do, the main thing economists think about when we do those things is it causes deficits. Now, yes, it also affects AD and how we shift AD, which has a price level, real GDP impact too. But the number one way that economists go about thinking about it when it comes to exchange markets is what's happening to the government's deficit. So if we increase government purchases or transfer payments, those are the outflows of money, or decrease taxes, again, all three of those things are expansionary fiscal policy. It's going to cause bigger deficits, and the government's going to have to borrow more money. So here's what I like to do. I like to kind of put a box in here. We'll label that G. That's the government. They do these expansionary fiscal policies. They're going to have to finance this deficit. It's going to cause deficit spending. And so when they finance that deficit, they're going to have to borrow money. So the way we do it in this class is we say, hey, this is an increase in demand for loanable funds. The government is going to start competing with businesses for loanable funds. They're going to need these loanable funds. And guys, when you demand more loanable funds, when you see an increase in borrowing in our financial markets, a demand for loanable funds shifting right in the loanable funds market, the interest rate is going to go up, right? So it's going to cause the interest rate to go up. Now, it's so important to understand fiscal policy makers are not happy about this. This is going to work counter to their stimulative fiscal policy goals, okay? So I don't want you to think that this is the intent of expansionary fiscal policy. It's simply a result, a negative result, if you will, or one that is counter to their goals. But that's what's going to happen, again, because expansionary fiscal policy causes deficits, and deficits must be financed. And when you finance those deficits, it puts upward pressure on the interest rate because you're going to have to demand more loanable funds, so the price of loanable funds is going to go up. This is the primary way we think about it. Now again, there's those other ways to kind of think about it. Well, how about AD shifting right, which is having price level and real GDP effects? How's that going to affect the exchange market? We'll do that later, okay? At the end of the video, I'll touch on those things. But again, I want you to know, economists generally think the major impact to exchange markets is going to be through the financial markets and the changes that are happening to the financial market. So let's continue on with this. When those interest rates go up, and again, you can almost think about the U.S. government going in there, selling bonds, and to sell those bonds, they're going to put higher and higher interest rates on those bonds to make them more attractive. So how are U.S. savers going to react? They're going to want to save more in the U.S. financial market. Hey, I'll go buy some of those U.S. government bonds. They're paying higher interest rates, right? So U.S. savers want to save more in the U.S. financial markets. So how is that going to impact this? You're going to see the supply of dollars decreasing, right? American savers are going to go abroad with their savings less, okay? Because again, you get a higher rate of return on your savings in the U.S. financial market than you used to. So supply, dollars, one. Okay, now how are European savers going to react? Well, very similarly. They're going to be like, I want some of those higher interest rates, so European savers are going to want to get their financial capital over here to the U.S. financial markets. To do that, they're going to have to supply more euros, demanding more dollars. Supply more euros, demanding more dollars. So there we go. We shift that like that. And let's go look at our equilibriums. This was our original equilibrium. Sometimes I like to just put old, right? That's our old equilibrium. Now, what I like students to kind of do is pause a little bit and kind of look at this thing really closely, all right? So here's the deal. The demand increase, that's the Europeans wanting to put their money in our financial markets, needing our dollars, demanding more dollars. Supplies decrease, that's Americans saying, hey, we're going to take less abroad. Okay, now at the original exchange rate, that's the original exchange rate. Again, this is quantity supplied, this is quantity demanded. We're going to get a shortage of dollars at the original exchange rate. As again, we're supplying less because we want to go here less and here more. Europeans are, of course, demanding more as they want to come here with their wealth, with their savings, causing a shortage of dollars. Well, what's that going to do? It's going to cause that exchange rate to begin to appreciate. Now, what I like to do is immediately go here and put dollars appreciating. Now, again, in this video, you can see I just put European Union. Now, we could put any country over here, but I just wanted to just focus on one country, so I just put European Union. So let's go ahead and put the euro. If the dollar is appreciating in terms of the euro is, of course, depreciating. And here's the big deal here. When the dollar appreciates, these goods and services are becoming more expensive. So Europeans are going to want to come here less. So let's see that impact right here. So remember, the red curves are the new curves. And here's the demanders of dollars, the Europeans. And look, I'm moving leftward. The important thing is leftward. The quantity of dollars, which I can see now, I didn't put that here, so let's put that here. Quantity of dollars, okay, that are being demanded is decreasing. That's what this is right here. Students always get confused, right? You see it going up. That's not what's important. What's important is we're going left. It's a decrease in the quantity demanded of dollars. Again, why? Because our goods and services are now more expensive because the dollar has appreciated. Our goods and services are priced in dollars. If the dollar becomes more expensive on international exchange markets, our goods and services are becoming more expensive. So this is a decrease in the demand for the U.S. dollar. And what you can really think about this is a decrease in U.S. exports. Okay? Now, what are Americans doing? They see cheaper goods and services abroad. The euro has depreciated. That stuff is cheaper, so we're going to move this direction right there on the supply of dollars. The Americans are the suppliers of dollars. Moving to the right, this is an increase in the quantity supplied of dollars. Why? Again, as Americans want to go there more, okay? Now, so important that kids don't get lost on this, all right? The interest rate change caused the shifts in the curves, okay? The interest rate change caused the shifts in the curve, which caused the shortage of dollars. The exchange rate change, okay, as the exchange rate adjusted to that shortage of dollars, caused changes here, okay? So here's what I like to do, is just kind of show how the money's flowing. So when those, kind of weird pivots there, when that interest rate goes up in the United States, hey, you start seeing money wanting to come this direction to those financial markets, causing, again, this is a demand for dollars, right? It's a supply of euros, but it's a demand for dollars, causing a shortage of dollars. And what I like to do is kind of say, Americans just kind of keep their money here, don't take it abroad. That's the supply shifting left. That's going to cause the exchange rate, the price of dollars, to appreciate, which makes that stuff cheaper and this stuff more expensive. So you start to see money flowing this direction from a current account or product market standpoint. Then the exchange takes place. Right now we actually get the currencies being exchanged, and the savers are going there, okay? Once they get those dollars, and then, hey, what's happening here? This is what's going there. We're going to buy those products from abroad. So hopefully that makes sense to you. I think of this right here as being the cause. Maybe I should do it this direction with my hand. This is being the cause, that money coming this direction, which has the effect of causing money to go that direction. Credits and debits. That's a credit to the U.S. financial account as money's coming in right there. That's a debit to the U.S. current account as money's going out. From a European standpoint, that is a debit to their financial account, financial market, financial account. That's a credit to the European product market, i.e. current account. This is sometimes known as the twin deficits. When you run government deficits, you tend to run trade deficits. You can see the U.S. net exports are decreasing. This is a decrease in U.S. net exports. Again, sometimes referred to as the twin deficit. That stimulative fiscal policy causes government deficits, which then cause trade deficits. Think current account when you think the trade account. So there we go. Now, I talked about those complexities. This is the primary way we're going to think about fiscal policy. If you're taking a test, most of the time the test is going to direct you based on the interest rate change of expansionary fiscal policy. How is that going to impact the exchange market? But some tests could throw you a curveball. If they said something different, like based on what happened to the price level, okay, you would get something very different, okay? You wouldn't get a dollar appreciating because the price level, we'd actually say the price level is going to go up in the United States as AD shifts right because of the fiscal policy. And that increase in the price level would cause the dollar to depreciate. Or the question could say, based on the probable effect on real GDP. Well, again, AD shifting right, trying to get more real GDP means more national income. An increase in national income in the United States, that would also cause a depreciation of the dollar. But generally, those PL and real GDP effects are going to be overwhelmed by the effect in the financial market, so we don't generally look at those, okay? I know, that might have confused you. I'm just saying you do have to watch what the problem says. You see stimulative fiscal policy, what does the problem say next? The primary thing I want you to think about when you say stimulative fiscal policy is the impact on interest rates, and answer it just the way we did. But if you get a curveball on that test and it says, hey, based on this expansionary fiscal policy and the probable effect on, say, real GDP, i.e. national income, and they ask you to answer it then, this isn't it. This isn't what's going to happen, okay? Increase in real GDP in the United States causes us to go want to buy more goods and services from abroad, and you're going to see a dollar depreciate. I know, it's complexity. It's not fun. We wish it was just one straightforward answer. Monetary policy is a much more straightforward answer, but we can do it and we can understand it. And I hope that made sense to you. Anyhow, hope to see you in the next video.